Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Jackie Hines from Courage and Chaos Boutique, shop courageandchaos.com, and today I'm going to talk about what it's like to have 3 babies, no twins, in under 2.5 years. There's a good chance this video is going to be interrupted 62 times by my 3-year-old. So today I wanted to tell you our story about our family, how it came to be that I ended up giving birth to 3 children in the span of 2.5 years. That phase in my life required a lot of patience, just like it does right now. You are naked. You can't show everybody your butt. So I had my first kid in June of 2012, and at the time we were very open to having more kids. We were pretty sure we wanted to have at least 3 children. Maybe 4 was kind of our kind of. Maybe 4 was kind of our game plan. We weren't really sure, but we did know that we wanted to have kids pretty close together and that I wanted to be done having children before 30 so that I could go have a career. I did have 2 miscarriages. I struggled to keep my pregnancies because I have PCOS and my progesterone was always very low. So until we discovered that me taking baby aspirin helped me get pregnant, and also needing to have progesterone is what kept my pregnancy. My first pregnancy was fairly uncomplicated. We did have some issues right around the time, around 6 weeks and around 13 weeks, we thought we were gonna lose him, and we didn't. He was born at 36 weeks, so he is a late preemie, late-term preemie, I think, no. I don't know what they call it. He was just right at the cutoff of preemie, born at 36 weeks. I had preeclampsia with him, and we did discover later that he had a stroke at birth. So then, at the 6-month mark, 6 months, almost to the day after my first baby was born, I got pregnant with my second. It was not intentional, although we knew it could happen, so we were just kind of like, cool, whatever happens, happens. Life was very stressful and kind of crazy. At the time that I got pregnant with kid number 2, my mom actually had leukemia, and I had moved 2 hours away from my husband. He stayed to work, and I had moved with my little baby to be her caregiver. And so she survived, yay! And I was pregnant. So we were ecstatic. My second baby made me just as sick as my first baby. So I had some issues with my second child. At 37 weeks one day, I went to the doctor. They did a test, checked my blood pressure, and they determined that I was yet again developing preeclampsia. And so they told me to come back the next morning. They induced me, and I had baby number 2. He was my easiest birth. He was my fastest birth. And that's kind of his personality too. He is my easiest kid, so it worked out. 8 months later, we really were not intending to have another baby anytime soon. We were in the weeds with 2 little kids under 2. And, you know, my oldest was starting to show signs of autism, which he was indeed diagnosed while I was pregnant with number 3. He was indeed diagnosed with autism. And we were just really trying to survive that phase of life when I found out I was pregnant with kid number 3. I do want to say that I am so grateful that I had these 3 little boys, and I will never regret it. But at the time when I found out with baby number 3, who is running around right now, that I panicked. And my husband was like, "What is wrong with you? It's gonna be okay." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not ready to do this again." And so the panic wore off, and we were okay. And with kid number 3, I also had I also had heart issues, and I ended up having to be in the ICU for a couple days while I was 20 weeks pregnant with him. So at 38 weeks is when I was induced with kid number 3. I was developing preeclampsia again. So they induced me with him. And my obstetrician almost missed his birth. The nurses forgot to call her. They called the on-call emergency OB who was in the hospital already. My OB was walking over from her office 7 minutes before I gave birth to my third child. So she essentially ran in. I yelled at her. I definitely was a crazy, angry pregnant woman. And she delivered him. And I did have some complications at the end of that birth. I hemorrhaged a little bit. So that third birth experience wasn't the absolute best I had. And it did kind of launch me into some postpartum depression issues. After every postpartum, I had a lot of issues with anxiety and some like compulsion, like intrusive thoughts of me accidentally hurting my baby or like them not breathing and all of that kind of stuff. I know a lot of moms can identify with that. And so I did end up going on antidepressants after my third kid was born to manage all of the stuff I was going through, because it was a very intense time. When Jude was born, Benjamin was almost 2.5 years old. Noah was right in the middle of learning how to walk. So Noah was 14 months when Jude came along. And so Noah was learning how to walk. So I had one child who was recently diagnosed with autism, one child who was learning how to walk and running around everywhere, and I had a newborn. And at the time, it was just very difficult for me to do anything. I withdrew from my friends, and I just spent that whole first 6 months of being a mom of 3 kids under 3, struggling. The day that I left my house and went with everyone to Target by myself was like the best day ever. Because I was just so ready to be more independent, more in public, less terrified, strapping every kid into their car seat correctly to go somewhere, to have my oldest child have a meltdown. It really just was a lot of work and a lot of emotional work. My husband was an awesome support. My mom was really, really good to me. They all just really took care of me. So my advice for moms who want to have kids really close, or who do have kids close, is just one simple thing. Give yourself a lot of grace. Be kind to yourself. Know that it is a phase that is not going to last forever. If you liked this video and you want to see more mom life, lifestyle kind of videos from me, hit the little subscribe button and the little bell so you get notifications anytime I release new videos. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye!
Hey, Mom.
Why am I sweating? I'm so sweaty today.